Hey guys, today we're going to have a look at a game from one of my followers, and after we've been through this game you will be definitely a master of the openings. And without any further ado, let's just jump in. And we have a game here opened with d4, which is perfectly fine. We want to put our pawns into the center, and the center is e4, d4, e5 and d5, so there's nothing wrong here. Black plays d5, bishop f4, queen d7, queen d7. Queen d7 is a little bit weird because it blocks the bishop on c8, and the rule is with each move you make in the opening you have to develop a piece, and the queen is one of the last pieces you have to develop. So queen d7 is not the best move here, and white just played normally. Play d3, opens up the bishop on f1. Black plays knight f6, knight c3, and here black already makes a mistake. He hangs a pawn on b5, which white took. Black played c6, bishop a4, knight a6, and here white played a3. I'm not a fan of these moves, especially not in the opening, and I think white was worrying something like knight b4, but first of all, knight b4 moves the knight again, and in the opening we don't want to move our pieces twice. And second of all is that the knight on b4 just doesn't do anything. He attacks the c2 pawn and maybe the a2 pawn, but both of the pawns are protected, and he's not doing anything on b4, so we don't really have to defend knight b4, and that's why a3 is a mistake. And better would have been something like knight f3, develop your pieces. All right. Here black played rook b8 and hangs another piece, hangs the rook on b8, which white took. And well, if you have trouble with hanging pieces, I made a free guide to stop hanging pieces, and I put the link in the description, so you can have a look at that if you struggle with hanging pieces. So knight takes b8, knight e2, knight ge2, and this is a okay developing move. It would be better to play knight f3 here, because we want to develop our pieces so they can actively attack the center or the center squares, and the knight on f3 attacks the e5 square. So knight f3 would have been better, but knight ge2 is also okay, develops a piece and prepares castling. Here black played queen f5, and this is definitely too much moving with the queen in the opening, and maybe you know the rule: if you move your queen too much in the opening, she will get lost or trapped. And the second thing is that you can't develop any pieces if you move your queen several times. So queen f5 was not the best idea here. e6, for example, just free up this bishop on f8 and then develop the bishop and castle to the king side would have been better. So queen f5, knight g3 attacks the queen. As I said, if you move the queen out in the beginning, then she will be attacked and you lose a lot of time, and then at some time she will be trapped even. So don't do that. Don't move your queen out too quick. Queen g5, another move with the queen, which was necessary. And now white plays f4, or again attacking the queen, but f4 is not developing anything, and white is still not finished with his development. He still needs to bring the king into safety, and then he has to develop the queen, or he develops the queen like first if he wants to play queen d2 and then castle to the queen side, or he castles to the king side immediately. But this would have been, either of these two options would have been better than playing f4, because f4 just doesn't develop your pieces, and also weakens a little bit the squares around the king side. So f4, queen h4, and here white played the biggest mistake and is giving away his advantage he has already. And it may sound weird that such a move white plays next is actually giving away this advantage. And maybe you can think for yourself a second, what would you play here with white? And well, white played castling to the king side, and this is a huge mistake and basically gives away the entire advantage he has. And the reason for this is that he castles into black's attack, or he castles onto this side where black is attacking him, and this is a big mistake. And here I want you to pause the video and think for yourself a little bit and see what's black next move here. All right, I hope you paused the video, and let's have a look at what black played here. Black played knight g4, and knight g4 has two ideas. First is queen takes h2 checkmate, and the second thing is that now the pawn on e3 is weak and is hanging. Matter of fact, is hanging on e3, and this is all because white played f4 and weakened this pawn on e3. So now here white has a big problem, and he has to play h3, unfortunately, and has to give back his material, because now black plays knight takes e3, forking the rook on f1 and the queen on d1, and also the knight on g3 is hanging right now. Here white played queen e2, which is okay. Better would have been queen f3, and then after black takes on f1, white takes on f1, and black plays e6. Now everything is equal, and well, black has to just finish his development, and then he can just keep on playing and everything is fine. So this would have been the best move. Queen e2 is not as good as queen f3, because now after knight takes f1, queen takes f1, that's what white did, and we have two other options here. We can have a look at knight takes f1, trying to equal the material again, but here we can see, okay, the pawn on f4 is hanging, and black can take the pawn on f4 and yeah, wins a pawn. Additionally, the pawn on d4 is hanging now with check, so white would have to play something like rook d1 to protect the pawn on d4, and then after that black just finishes his development with e6, bishop d6, and then castling to the king side, and everything is fine for black. And this is not good for white here. On the other hand, if you take with the queen, what happened in the game, black can first take the knight on g3 and win a piece now. And now it's actually black that has the material advantage. And this is the downside of queen f1. And there was actually one move after knight takes f1 that kind of holds the advantage, but it's really hard to see. It's very, very positional also. So the best move, the really best move here is to play queen e5, attacking the knight on b8. And also, well, the knight on f1 is still hanging, and well, white tries to equalize material again. And here, well, black takes on g3, queen takes b8, king d8, and here black is a piece up, but black lost the right to castle. The bishop on c8 is a weakness. The pawn is hanging on c6, and overall we have a lot of pieces. Actually, let's change this color to yellow, and we have a lot of pieces that are right there where the king is, where we want to attack the king right now, and black is just not there with the pieces. Queen is not there, and the knight is also not there, and well, the bishop on c8 is the target right now. But this is very hard to see. This is actually a computer move, and yeah, this is very hard to evaluate too. So the best move here would have been queen f3, and this kind of holds the position together, and then yeah, you can just keep on playing from there. So queen e2, knight takes f1, queen takes f1, queen takes g3, and now, as I said, black is a minor piece up. Queen e2, bishop takes h3, and we go through this a little bit quicker here. Knight takes d5, king d8, knight d4, e6, takes on c6. And here we traded a lot of pieces off the board, and black is still underdeveloped. Technically right now we are playing 3 pieces against 2 pieces. We have these 3 pieces, and I include the rook on a1 because he can be pretty quick into the game. You play rook d1, for example, and he's in there. So we play 3 pieces against 2 pieces right here, and even these 2 pieces here are very far away from the black king here on d8. And now black makes another mistake, and he should have just developed his pieces with bishop d6, and then after that everything is fine. He can play king e7, for example, and bring the rook in, or he can play something like h5 even, and rook h6 and rook g6, and play against this pawn on g2 if he wants to be that aggressive. Or he can play just king e7 and then puts the rook somewhere here on the d file. This also works, and black is just a solid piece up. But here black played king c7, and this is a big mistake. And as I said, black is not developed yet, and here I want you again to pause the video and think for yourself, what is white's best move here? And I can tell you so far that white is actually winning again. Alright, I hope you paused the video. And let's have a look. What is the best move here for white? And the best move for white here is queen b5. And queen b5 is positioning the queen in a way that I can checkmate like this. So let's say black does nothing, or let's say actually, okay, black thought I need to develop now. I have to bring in my bishop and my rook there. And black is really in trouble right now, because now white can play queen b7 check, the king goes to d8, and now white can play queen d7 checkmate. So it's too late for development now. And the best move here for black is to play e5. So e5 is directed against this checkmate on d7, because now the bishop on h3 is protecting the square on d7. But even though we play queen b7 check, king d8, queen b8 check, bishop c8, and now we can take on e5 with the queen. And here you can already see I marked all the black pieces with red in red, because they're not playing at all. The queen on g3 is the most active piece, but she is, yeah, out of the game still. She's far away from the king, and white's idea here is to play something like rook e1 and play against the king on d8 that's still in the center. And of course this is very positional here to see for a 400 player, but I wanted to include this here so you can see it, how this kind of things look, that sometimes even material advantage is not automatically winning, and that positional advantage is almost equal to material advantage, because at some point your attack is going to get so big that your opponent has to give back material, or he has to in general give material so he is not checkmated, or yeah, doesn't lose like really big pieces like the queen or rooks and whatever. So this is why I wanted to include this here. And so king c7, and white played bishop e4, and bishop e4 again drops the bar. Now black is better again, so bishop d6, queen c4 check, king d7, and then here now eventually white got checkmated. So the takeaway from this game here is to always develop your pieces before you do everything else. Each move in the opening must be a developing move, must be developing a knight, developing a bishop somewhere, castling, or develop your queen. Of course, don't develop your queen into the middle of the board, just develop your queen so you can connect your rooks after you castled. And after that you can start moving pieces twice, you can start attacking, or yeah, put a game plan together. But first, the most important thing is to develop your pieces. And the second thing is that you don't move your queen out too quick. Like here, queen f5 is just wasting time for black, and the queen will just get attacked by white's pieces, and black is just losing a lot of time moving around with the queen, and he is not paying attention to his development. And then the third thing is, and the most important thing and biggest thing, is this castling move here. Never castle into where your opponent attacks you. Most of the time it's not a good idea, and you really have to calculate it through. And the matter of fact is that here, after you castle, it's already forced. After black plays knight g4, it's already a double attack, namely queen takes h2, checkmate, and knight takes e3 with another fork. So, and this is only because white played f4 and attacked the queen on g5, and this made this pawn on e3 weak. Okay, yeah, this is so much about this game, and yeah, I hope you liked it, and if you did, subscribe to my channel, and I see you in the next video.